Guys, in my last video I discussed regarding the architectures for virtualization. I discussed two architectures in that, that is the hosted one and the bare metal. So in that I did the comparison that why bare metal was better than the hosted one. So in this video today we will be going to see what is the kind of virtualization tool we are using. Like we have the Hyper-V, and so we are going to see the architecture as well as the working of how a hypervisor does the virtualization process internally in the machine itself. So to understand this video, watch this. This is Ranjiraj and you're streaming on the Study Beast. So let's get started. So first of all, this is the overall architecture for this Hyper-V. Now this Hyper-V is mainly used for like it is a part of the Microsoft Windows server. It is used for virtualization. This hypervisor. So it is Hyper-V. So it is abbreviated as Hyper-V for Microsoft. Now, this Hyper-V is code named as Viridian. So it is a code name where you can easily identify that this is Hyper-V for Microsoft Windows operating system. Now, this can be seen in Windows 2008 as well as for the Windows 8, 8.1 as well as the Windows 10 version. Now, let us see the architecture of this. So basically, there are three different levels or three different rings, in fact, I can say, for Hyper-V architecture. So at the base level is the ring -1. Above that, you have the kernel mode, that is at the ring 0. And above that, you have user mode, that is ring 3. So at ring -1, you have the hypervisor, like you have the VMM or the Hyper-V, and below that you have the hardware. Now you can compare this diagram along with the bare metal and the hosted architecture, which I have discussed in my previous videos. So this part remains the same, and so in Hyper-V this is classified into rings. So this is ring 1. Now moving above, that is at the kernel level, we have the ring 0, where we have these many components. So here we have two VM buses. Like you cannot have the physical buses for like communicating between the channels. For this you have the virtual machine bus. So by means of that it will communicate with each other. Now in this, on the left hand side you have the Windows kernel. Likewise you have the Windows kernel here. Now these are partitions of two things, that is PP stands for the parent partition and this is the child partition, that is CP. So in both of these partitions you have the Windows kernel. Since this is at the kernel mode, so they share a common part, and you have this VSP running at the parent partition. VSP stands for Virtualization Service Provider, and you have some kind of device drivers for doing the accessing for the IO and kind of all stuffs. And you have at the child partition you have VSC, that is Virtualization Service Controller or Virtualization Service Client, and you don't have drivers for this. I will discuss the like the detail why you don't have device drivers in CP and why you have device drivers in parent partition. Now moving above, you have at the ring 3, that is at the user mode, you have your VM provider at the parent partition. Then you have the virtual management service provider, virtual machine service management provider, and you have some kind of worker process which runs in a similar manner like the thread pooling and the thread works. So that is why it is distributed, and the load balancing is done internally at the parent partition. Next, at the child partition, you have your main application running, your desktop application or any remote kind of application. So that is at the user level all to deal with. So we basically have three rings in this: ring -1, ring 0, and ring 3. Ring 0 is at the kernel mode, and ring 3 is at the user mode. So well, I named this as a code name as Viridian for Microsoft Windows operating system. So now this Hyper-V is basically used as a hypervisor. Now this is a hypervisor in fact, and it is a part of Microsoft Windows Server, and this is mainly used for doing the virtualization in x86 and 64-bit systems. Along with this, you have other related components, like you have the app-V, which I have discussed in the previous video for the architectures. Then you have the med-V. Then this is the most common kind of thing, that is the remote desktop connection. when you do mstc, when you go to the run command and you type mstc, you will have a remote desktop connection for Windows, and in that if you enter the IP of the application server, then it will do the authentication at the network level. Then you have to log into the built-in admin and then put the administrative rights, and then you can access those virtual machines. So this is the most common kind of RDP, remote desktop connection. Now, in the architectures I have discussed, I have said that in one particular box, whether it is a hosted one or a bare metal one, you have different kinds of VM. Then how they manage the isolation between all these VMs? So that is mainly done by means of one thing, that is partitions. And moreover, how does Microsoft provide the access to this Hyper-V, or how you can access this Hyper-V and can see what happens in this hypervisor? So they have given two kind of channels for this. First is a part of Windows, and it comes with the earlier versions of Windows 2008, that is R2 server. And then moreover, in the recent versions of Windows 8 and 8.1 and also Windows 10, you can have this Hyper-V hypervisor. Next, also you can have a free version of this Hyper-V server, but it comes with a less functionality as compared to being a part of the Windows. So a very few functionality would be there if you have it from a freeware. So that are the two means by which Microsoft provides the access to this Hyper-V hypervisor. Now, like I said, how these VMs are being partitioned. So it is isolated by means of kind of a partition. So this partition will manage you to access each of these virtual machines and can be able to run the guest OS in each of these virtual machines. Now, one main thing regarding the this hypervisor is that it should have at least one parent partition. Although it can have many kind of parent partition, but at least one single parent partition it should have. And this parent partition would run the virtualization stack, and this has direct access to the hardware devices, like I have said. So there you have the device drivers, while in child partition they don't have these like transparency and all. And so parent partition will do the multi-threading, or in fact we can say it will produce the CP1, CP2, CP3, like the child partition. Many child partition it can create, and this child partition is created by means of parent partition with the help of this hypercall API. So hypercall API is like exposed to like for virtualization hypervisor, it is hypercall application programming interface. So by means of this hypercall API, parent partition calls the child partition, or it will create the child partition. Now I've told the parent partition have many access to the device drivers, and so it can directly communicate with the processor internally. But one main thing is that this child partition, it hosts the application and runs all the application in that. But one main thing is that child partition cannot access those all things that the parent partition does. So how does it communicates it needs and request the IO from the parent partition? So one main thing regarding the CP, that is the child partition, is that it uses GVA. GVA stands for the guest virtual address. So by means of this guest virtual address, it will access those parent partition. Obviously, there would be one parent partition. In the worst case scenario, let us consider that there is a one parent partition and there are many number of child partition, and this child partition would be on different virtual machines. Now this different virtual machines would be running different kinds of guest OS. So this guest OS would have different kind of virtual address. So from there that name came, that is the guest virtual address. By means of virtualization, they get those addresses. Now that was all about the CP, that is the child partition. Next, the hypervisor handles interrupts. Now, hypervisor handles all the interrupts when you do the virtualization, and it communicates with the processor. Now, it communicates this via a means of SYN-IC, that is synthetic interrupt controller. So, this is the only means by which your hypervisor controls the communication to the processor and manages it internally. Now, like GVA does all the things by itself. Now, if you want to accelerate this process, I've written accelerate GVA. Now, you can accelerate this GVA process to an extended level by means of EPT. EPT stands for the extended page table, or by means of RVI, that is the random virtualizing index. So by means of these two, it can speed up this process of GVN assigning the, or it can act as a catalyst, in fact, I can say, for speeding up this process. Now, one main thing, like how this CP will provide the request, or if it needs some kind of work to be done or performed, then how it will access those two, or say it goes to the parent providers or the parent partition, in fact. So like in CP and also here, that is parent partition, you have these two kinds of buses. So there are these two kinds of buses sitting in this, that is the VM bus, that is the virtual machine bus. So by means of virtual machine bus, the parent partition will initiate a VSP, that is the virtualization service provider, and for the CP it will initiate a virtualization service controller or a virtualization service client. So by means of these two it will interact. Then CP will initiate those interrupts which are required for the IO access to the parent partition, and all this happens via the VM bus. So this VM bus is bidirectional, so it can interact with the parent partition as well as the to the child partition itself. Now, I have said in the bare metal and the hosted architecture that you have like device access, IO access is there, USB access, pass-through mechanism is there, CD-ROM access, all generic and non-generic devices you have. Also NIC network interface. So how these virtual devices access all these things? So there is one kind of like IO called as the enlightened IO, which will provide a means of like you can have storage, networking, and any other processing by means of implementing a high-level protocol like SCSI. SCSI stands for the Small Computer System Interface. So by means of this, it can access those and provide the calls, and can pass those like calls and service requests without being passed to an emulation layer, in fact. So you don't have to pass it to an emulation layer, so it can directly communicate with the guest OS and the other virtual machines to carry out the task. And so we say that the bare metal is more advanced and more efficient architecture than the hosted one. So in also like other operating systems like in Linux, and also you can find the bare metal architecture used for virtualization. So well, that was all about the working of the Hyper-V architecture as well as all the internals of this. So hope you enjoyed this video. Found this video helpful. Please hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Thanks for watching this video.